Caller, you're live on the air. Welcome back to the show.
Hello, William, and hello, Rabbi.
Welcome back.
So today I have a question about Daniel 7:13. This verse says in Aramaic, as I looked on in the night vision, and there came with the clouds of heaven one like a son of man. And later it says that this person who is like a son of man will be given glory, kingship, and all people will serve him. So I'm familiar with the interpretation of this verse that it talks about Israel. This is the Jewish interpretation.
No, it's not about Israel. It's about the Messiah. Joshua, sweetheart, it's not about Israel. It's about the Messiah.
You think it is about the Messiah?
Of course it's about the Messiah. How could it possibly be about Israel? Of course it's Mashiach.
Okay, because I did hear you saying that this is talking about Israel because
no,
the previous vision that was seen by Daniel talking about 4 kings.
My dear brother, so let me just tell you this. People, I have a lot of videos out there. I never said this talking about Israel. You're confusing me with somebody else. This is speaking about Mashiach. This is a messianic passage. And this is the reason, if I may, that Jesus is not the Messiah, let alone that he's not the Son of Man. Forget that for a moment. I'm not going to ignore that. But here the passage tells us it's about Mashiach, that all nations will serve him of all languages. His dominion will be an everlasting dominion which will not pass away. It means all nations will serve him, which all nations don't serve Jesus. They don't. So when the true Messiah comes, Joshua, I hope, I pray that you will embrace the Jewish faith as a Ben Noach or as a Jew. I do. And it is these passages that talk about the Messiah himself, because that's what's going on here. If you look a little further in Daniel chapter 7, you'll see that these are all about the kingdom and then the final coming of the Messianic age. The 4 kingdoms, meaning the kingdom represented by the lion, Bavel, the kingdom which is represented by the bear, that's Persia, the leopard, Greece. The 4th one, indescribable, just 10 horns with a little horn. That's Rome, Edom, the church. All that will be destroyed. And Mashiach will then reign as a Davidic king forever, and all nations will serve him. Meaning there's not going to be any discussion about, is this person truly the Messiah? Is this person the heir to David's throne? All the nations of the world will recognize him. That's it. And he will represent the will of Hashem. He'll be a true teacher in Israel. So he will be both a physical king and a spiritual leader, like David, a physical king and a spiritual leader who's the primary author of the book of Psalms, Sefer Tehillim, which we use to come closer to Hashem. If you want to know about Mashiach, just get an idea of what kind of person he will be, take a look at David. I didn't invent this. Mashiach is called David in Tanakh all over the place. So Daniel chapter 7, verse 13 is speaking about the Messiah. Make no mistake about this. The holy ones are those, or the saints that are described in these passages are those who are the true followers of the clouds of heaven of Mashiach. Means those who were loyal to God, as opposed to the people who followed the roof folks, the people of Gog. So Daniel chapter 7, verse 13 and 14 demonstrate that Jesus can't possibly be the Messiah, let alone that the Navi wants to convey, that Daniel of blessed memory is conveying that this is a son of a man, a son of a man. Jesus, the church claims, is not a son of a man. That's a big problem.
To clarify,
Sure.
Just to clarify, I'm not calling to argue whether this applies to Yeshua, Jesus, because I'm currently in pursuit of truth about the messiahship of Yeshua, but I have decided to assume that he's not until proven otherwise. That's why I'm trying to understand who is the Mashiach from the Jewish perspective first. But right. I think I've heard you saying in other places, that's why I wanted to call and clarify in other videos, and also other rabbis that because the first four animals refers to kingdoms, also the Son of Man refers to Israel. And I'm happy to hear from you that you agree. As Rashi says, also this refers to King Mashiach. This was my question, basically. I wanted to clarify how come Rashi says that King Mashiach, also other Hasidic rabbis, I heard them like Shmuel.
You know what, my Joshua, sweetheart, I really hope to meet you one day. These are not empty words. I hope to meet you one day. If we find in the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had earlier on in the book of Daniel, that Daniel interprets for Nebuchadnezzar, the statue has four parts: the head of gold, the chest of silver, legs of bronze, and feet of clay and iron. So it's four parts. And then a stone comes as of not from a human source and destroys it all. The clay and iron don't adhere to each other. So that's the fifth kingdom that brings in the final sovereignty of God. This motif that's used not only in Daniel, it's everywhere. When you see four in Tanakh, I want you to think about the four kingdoms that subjugated the Jews. Now, China is not a part of this, because they didn't subjugate the Jews. It's these kingdoms that did. If you think of it that way, then you see this all over Daniel, coming up all over Zechariah, over and over again. The horses with the different colors. Why? Same thing. How many horses? Four. When Avram Avinu, Abraham, our father, of blessed memory, when he defeated how many kings? Four kings. Why? What do I need to know? 4 kings, 6 kings, who cares? Because Maisa Avos Simon Labanim, the events that occurred to our fathers are signposts up ahead. There are 4 kingdoms. We are now at the very end of the kingdom of Edom, the kingdom of Esav. It's going to be destroyed. And now we're already living in that time where all the prophecies are unfolding now. Daniel 7:13 and 14 is speaking about the coming of Mashiach and the kingdom that will destroy all the previous kingdoms. There'll be nothing left of them. So, I could show you more if you wanted to. I'll just play a little bit here and I'll stop. I don't want to overdo this. If you notice, what happens to the lion as an example, lion had wings. When the period of the lion is terminated, what happens to the lion? He doesn't die. You notice he's given a human heart and his wings are removed. What does that mean? I wanted to show you how this is really delightful imagery. A lion, so powerful a beast, can run so fast like the wind. Okay? But what kind of a heart does a lion have? It's not complicated. A lion that weighs so much and is so strong needs a huge heart. A lion's heart is roughly 5 times the size of a human heart, and therefore it can pump so much blood, so much oxygen to the body, so it can run at speeds that humans can't attain with such power and take down huge animals, huge cattle. Now, what would happen if you took a lion and you put it in surgery and put in a human heart and took out the lion's heart? What would the lion not be able to do? It wouldn't even be able to walk. It would just lay there because it doesn't have the circulation, the oxygen necessary to keep its powerful body going. You remove its wings. That's all. It means it loses its power. When Persia defeated Babylon in the blink of an eye, the ideas, the technology of Babylon didn't disappear. It just rolled over into the next kingdom. It moved over. I want to explain what's really happening here. Many ideas of the Babylonian Empire were adopted by the Persian Empire. Why throw it away? Now be silly. When the American people fought for their independence in the 18th century and defeated the British in its War of Independence, they didn't throw out all the good stuff, culture, science, ideas of the British. They retained all the good stuff. So it just rolled over. And that's why there's so many ideas in British law, names of cities all over England. So you keep the good stuff. You don't throw it all away. And the difference is that the last king in Edom is going to be utterly destroyed. And when Mashiach comes, God's reign will be forever. So Daniel 7, 13, 14, speaking about Mashiach, the house of David, he's called Son of Man. Why? Because he's a son of a man. He's mortal. That's the point. When Christians tell you that Son of Man means divine, tell them, I was going to say tell them you're a liar, but don't do that because they don't know any better. Their pastor taught them that. Son of Man means specifically that you are mortal. And why? Because some might think you're not mortal in the context. I'll give you just one example. In Ezekiel, after we see the divine chariot, the Maisa Merkava in chapter 1, you might think that Ezekiel's like a divine being to be able to perceive something that extraordinary. So how is Ezekiel referred to in chapter 2? Right at the get-go, Son of Man. Does that mean Ezekiel's divine? No, it's just the opposite. Because in the ancient world, all the gods were the son of a woman, but not the son of man. Now, why does it say like a son of man? Because it's like a lion. Remember, these are visions. These are ecstatic visions, and every part of it, I hope I've successfully conveyed that the imagery that we're seeing, witnessing in chapter 7, which is very unique, this apocalyptic imagery, is pregnant with meaning. So it's like a lion with wings, like a bear with the 3 ribs, like the leopard, 4 heads and so on, to represent the 4 parts of the Greek Empire after the early death of Alexander the Great, like a son of man. So this should tell every Christian, leave the church now. So it's very much talking about the Messiah and the Messianic age and how the world will be transformed and those who follow him. And he comes with clouds of heaven. Why? Because the clouds of heaven are what saved the children of Israel in the wilderness. And that's what the true followers of God follow, versus the people in Ezekiel 38 and 39, who are the people of the roof, Gog. How do you say roof in Hebrew? So it's a roof versus clouds. We're going with the clouds of heaven. Joshua, thank you very much for joining us on air. I pray you will embrace the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as a Jew or as a Ben Noach. But I'm very delighted to hear your voice. Always enjoy you. Thank you for joining us on air.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא